A very large cemetery. Well, let's look some more. So look what we got here.
Clarence Culpepper, Jr., born September 16th, 1920, and died March 1924. Oh, hold on. March 4th, 1924.
You see this right here?
Yeah.
This side of Clarence, and there's the road. Look at every one of these down through here. See them? You can see them from here. Every one of them's graves,
Sure do.
sunken graves.
One,
Old too.
2, 3, 4, 5. These are...
And they go way on out that way too.
Sure do.
Very large cemetery. Think we should call your friend the Waverly Hall historian?
Maybe so. I just stepped over one. Large one.
Every step is one. This is a big stone for a, oh, this is the headstone because there's a footstone. Look.
Sure enough is.
Right there. This has turned into a very large cemetery. And I mean, it goes out in that direction too. Another marker right there too, look.
Yep,
I mean,
sure enough.
look at the size of these trees. That's an old tree.
Well, this is an old cemetery. How many graves are out here? 200?
At least.
Yep.
At least 200. Don't you think?
I think so.
So
this is probably one that we need to return to in the wintertime, honestly, because we're seeing, what would you say, a third of, oh, look at there. Fieldstone.
Yeah.
Let me
Right
turn
there.
the camera back
Right
around.
there. Right here, I'll mark it.
Yep.
They're all lined up. One. Look at what? Cody found something.
There's one right
See
there.
the indentions? Look at the indentions as I walk through it to go towards Cody.
I see it.
It's one of these right here. All in a line. Cody found something.
All right, I'm going.
No one, Cody,
going
it's a box turtle or something like that.
Look,
Or,
Robert, I just nearly stepped
there.
in it. You see it?
Yep, I see it right there.
And look at those plants.
Yep.
See
We
those?
see those a lot around cemeteries, don't we?
We do. So I'm just kind of walking slow here, looking out for the timber rattlers. You remember that time I stepped over one, never
Yeah.
even saw it, and you were hollering?
Yeah, that's right.
There's one.
Right there's one. Actually,
Right there.
two. There's one right past it.
One there, one there.
Yeah.
And more of these plants here, Robert.
What you got, Cody?
I almost fell in a hole.
You almost fell in a hole.
I almost fell in a hole.
Well, you just fell in
I
one.
just fell in one too. There's a grave right there. I just put my foot down beside the slab. What kind of hole did you fall in, Cody?
Pretty
We don't be
hole.
telling us no tall tales now.
Well,
Oh my goodness, Robert. Robert, I can't even get close to that.
Oh man!
that what I
you know
think
what
it
this
is?
You know what this is?
It's an open grave, ain't it?
No. Bring the camera.
Hold on.
This is a hand-dug well. Why would it be in the middle of a cemetery? Why?
Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. I just went down in the ground
Look.
right there. It's making me nervous standing
It's
near
dry now. It's probably been caved in.
it. Here, hold my glasses. Here, Robert, so they don't fall off my shirt. So I'm going to try to get a little bit
Hold my
closer to this thing.
Now I know why. Guess why?
What?
This is probably a church cemetery. What do you think?
I think so. I think he said I need to call the local historian. I think I'm going to shut this camera off and call him real quick and get some.
I bet there was a
Details
church
on
here
it.
at one time.
I think you're right. We just got off the phone with Dan Aiken, very knowledgeable guy, been on this show a bunch. He is the area historian, knows everything about everything around here. And he just told us a bunch of very fascinating information. Are you going to tell it? Or am I-
What about the Union soldiers
the Union soldiers?
or this
Union
plantation?
soldiers. Both of it. Well,
Well,
I'll do the plantation. You do the Union
you
soldiers.
go first.
We're going to take turns with the story. I said earlier that I thought that this was the site of an old enslaved people's burial ground that was later used by African Americans after the fact. And that is the case. What we're standing on right now is the Bodie slave burial grounds, which dates back to obviously before the Civil War. This was part of the Bodie Plantation, and that's what it began as. After the war, this land was donated to the local African American community, and they were encouraged to build a Methodist church here. They were members of the Methodist Church, but apparently they were encouraged to build their own Methodist church here. So this became the African American Methodist Church cemetery here. Now, this open well right here is the site. The first, there was just like an awning, not an awning, what did he say?
Arbor.
An arbor here. And right beside this open well, there was an arbor, and that's where the first church services were held. Then there was a church built here, and it later moved to its present location. It still exists. This is St. John's AME Church. And this is still an active cemetery. People are still being buried out here. And Robert, this is your part too. There's some more.
There's a story that there was a Civil War military skirmish somewhere close by. And 2 Union soldiers were killed in the skirmish and are buried somewhere in this area.
Yep, they were buried right here.
In unmarked graves. So being that it was 1860 something, it would be within a few yards of where we're at right now, because this is the original heart of the cemetery right here.
Yep.
On this little hill right here that we're standing on.
So a lot of people ask about Union soldiers because we obviously film and see a lot of Confederate burials. We don't see many Union soldiers. Of course, that's because we're geographically in the South. We are geographically in what was the Confederate States. So unless Union soldiers died like Andersonville or POWs, we typically don't see burials for them out here. And that's the case here, where there are actually 2 Union soldiers buried in this cemetery. And what happened was they were killed while attempting to raid a house. And they were buried in secret, so the Union Army wouldn't find out that 2 of their soldiers got killed out here. Because I was told that if the Union Army had found out that 2 of their soldiers got killed, they would have burned the town down. So they covered up that the 2 Union soldiers were killed here, and they're buried somewhere out here, 2 Union soldiers, which is amazing history right there, and definitely talk about, you know, a lost grave for sure. All right, so do you want to look around a little bit more?
I definitely, something just caught my eye right over there.
Okay,
I don't know what
let's
it
go.
is, but we're gonna find out right now. Something just caught my eye the second time right here.
Oh yeah, the one
The one you tripped over.
the one I tripped over.
Oh yeah, and it's got something on it too.
Sure does. O.C. Culpepper, born April 10th, 19. I kind of feel the gaps here. 1903, and died 1953, January 29th, 1953.
Now,
O.C. Culpepper.
Cole Pepper.
Yeah,
Didn't we see one?
the other one was Cole Epper without the P right there, so it could have been a misspelling.
Misspelling. These were poured concrete, and they had a little jig with some little stencil numbers made out of wood, and they would set them in place. And on this one they got it right. On the other one they left the P out or something, didn't they?
They did.
Oh, anyway, I saw this over here.
Yeah, you saw something else.
A large field stone? Or is that stump?
Oh, that's a tree stump.
Tree stump.
It looked like a field stone with the way the moss
doesn't
is
it?
growing on
Well,
it.
look at the size, and it's been sawed. It's been sawed, which means what?
Lumber company came through it sometime.
Came in here years ago, because this is an old stump, and cut that big pine tree out of there, and that pine was that big around. That's how big that pine was when they cut it out of there.
Robert, look what you're standing in the middle of, though.
What?
Look all around you.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. This is probably, if I were to guess, and of course that's all we're doing here, with the amount of unmarked graves right here, I would say this is more than likely where the enslaved people are buried.
The original.
The original.
The original
The
part of the
oldest part.
cemetery. It's sort of the highest ground, too, don't you think?
It is. It is
the
the highest
point
ground.
right here. Look at the size of that tree.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is a big pine tree right there. They don't often get that size anymore. But I just got distracted with that one. You got a field stone right here.
Yeah, right by the road. This is close to the one through the old paved road. Now, it's a field stone.
That's field
Let's see if
stone.
there's a footstone down here somewhere. It'll be right about here. I don't feel it.
Oh, is that it right there? Nope, that's just leaf. Now look at this right here, Robert. This is an interesting change in landscape right here, if you will. Look what we got planted under this tree.
Yeah.
This is
See that?
Oh, and look right here, Robert.
Look.
There's a fieldstone right there.
And here
another
is
slab.
Here's a slab. So we're going to clean, and another fieldstone right there. Look.
Oh, I see it.
So let's, while you're standing here with the camera, I'll see if I can get anything off of this one. Now look here. Henry, can you make that out?
Sip.
Born March 15th, 1876, post-Civil War.
Yep.
Died February, doesn't have a date, does it? Nope.
1936.
36.
Oh, you were looking for the day.
Yeah. 1936. Why would he have been buried here unless he had relatives buried close to him?
Yeah.
Some of those fieldstone markers might have been his mama's.
Yep.
This might be his mother right here, maybe.
Could be.
You see?
Could very well
Or
be.
his daddy. Just a footstone for it. You see?
And a lot of times with these fieldstones, you know, it was only oral history that identified where they were. And I see it too. I think I almost caught you tripping trying to get over there. But it was only oral history who was buried in these fieldstones, and now they are all gone. So we have no idea who's buried there.
Oh, this
is
is
that
a modern one.
engraved?
This is
Right
interesting.
Let me get a light. Hey, Robert,
What are you looking for?
do you want this?
Oh no, I'm going to the car. I'm going to the
There
car.
you go. Come back. Let me see a light. I'll use my phone since I left the grave is from 1990 right there. Just noticed that. I think this is engraved, Robert.
With what?
I can't make out what it says, but it is clearly engraved fieldstone right here.
It looks like initials, doesn't it?
It does look like initials. It looks like an H up top
Well,
and an ER maybe.
well, the person buried right. Look at the person buried right next to him, right here. Like I said, families always stay together.
Yep, sure enough.
Look at that one right there. That could be a cast one, Cody. Go see if that's cast.
It's just a smooth slab.
I can't touch it. Is that poison ivy?
That's not poison ivy.
Hand
Oh,
carved.
wow. Yeah.
Can you make it out? 1860.
Roberto? Is that what I said? R-O...
Roberts?
Roberts, yeah. Kerry Roberts. It looked like an O at the end.
Born
Kerry Roberts.
18, what?
69.
Died.
This is DOC, December. Yeah, December 9th, 1933.
Wow.
This is an amazing place. That's a cast concrete stone that somebody carved or hand wrote while the concrete was still wet.
Wire right here. That's old wire too.
It is. You know, I bet this was around a grave at one point.
Probably was around, maybe, if it was the formerly enslaved, they wouldn't have put a fence around it.
Right.
However, like I said earlier, formerly enslaved died in the Civil War. Freedom comes to the rest of them. They stay here in this community, make their living here. When they pass away, they're buried with their parents, or brothers and sisters, or their grandparents that were buried in this old slave cemetery. Okay, good deal.
There's a fieldstone right there.
Where?
Right there between those two trees.
Right there.
There's a big indention right there.
One right here. Small one here.
Small one right there.
Right in line with that fieldstone. Right in line with that big tree that fell on that family that's all
That's
together.
right. The newer one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's another military grave. Luke Jones, Georgia, Sergeant. 826th Company, TC. I don't remember what that stands for. World War I. Born March 10th, 1890. Died April 23rd, 1949. Fought in World War II and lived through, or fought in World War I and lived through World War II.
Yeah.
So we have a grave that's marked. This is from 2008, Robert.
2008?
2008. right, everybody. Well, we've looked around this cemetery, counted a lot of graves. There are a lot of graves out here, and this is a very historic place. A lot of history here. Very fascinating. The road's right there. It's kind of loud. Very fascinating place. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. This can kind of be a teaser of this cemetery, if you will, because we're definitely coming back here. Hopefully going to get with Dan and bring him out here, and he'll be able to provide a lot more information about this place that we don't know at this time. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is definitely a surprise find on the side of the road.
You go ahead.